Hello and welcome to another episode of Tiva Drive Express, and this is a 2024 Nissan Ariya, and this is the Platinum Plus all-wheel drive long-range version, which is basically the same version we drove a year ago when they were first launched. So this is a year later, and what we're gonna do is actually compare it with our Q4. This is the car which we compared when we leased our Audi Q4 in the spring, and we'll try and explain why we chose the Audi over this Nissan Ariya. First of all, a few specs. This top-of-the-line version has 389 horsepower, all-wheel drive, 91 gross kilowatt-hour battery, 87 net. We'll tell you the comparison with the Audi. It is a larger battery because the Audi has the battery is 77 net, so it's 10 kilowatt hours less, which produces a range of 465 here and 415 on the Audi. This car is slightly larger. The Ariya is slightly larger. Price is very, very similar. That's why we compared it and considered it. This is actually a very similar color to our Audi that we ended up selecting. So yes, the range is 50 kilometers longer on this Nissan than on the Audi Q4. In terms of the horsepower, this is 389 horsepower, 5.1 seconds, versus the current Q4, which is not the same that we leased. The early 24s were different. The current 24 models have 335 horsepower, so a little bit less, but only 0.3 seconds slower. So it's 5.3 versus 5.1, minimal difference. The nice LED signatures, typically typical, you can tell them from far away, LED lights and fog lamps at the bottom. The charge port on the Ariya is located in the front passenger side, so it's actually convenient for curbside charging. And for Tesla superchargers, they have not announced, Nissan has not announced if they will participate at this point, but anyways, for curbside charging, it's quite convenient. The blacked out grille in the front has not changed since last year. And you have the opening sunroof on this version as well. Nissan comes with two battery sizes. So the smaller one, the base version, has a small battery, which is actually smaller than the Audis, but this top-of-the-line version, long range, has actually a larger battery than the Audi. So you can talk about the interior space. Because this car is slightly longer, taller, and wider, there's a bit more space on the interior, especially in the second row seats. Digital screens, as you can see, it's kind of combined all in one. Even though there are two screens, but they're combined into one, kind of like Hyundai Kia. You have the movable center console here, your gear shifter, your drive modes, open, close for the storage here, which actually I don't find very practical. Much easier to just press a manual button here to open the other compartment. For this one here, first of all, I have to look closely to see which one is open, which one is closed, and it's not one touch. You have to keep pressing the button to open and close it, so it's not very practical. Your start stop button, your volume button on off for the entertainment. We'll go through the menus in a moment. These seats on the top of the line Platinum Plus version are heated and cooled. You have LED signature ambient lighting inside. Inside here, there's not much storage here, actually. I don't know if you can see it. Let's show it to you here. It's just a spot to wirelessly charge your phone. Now, it's to me, actually, when we tried it, it basically was very difficult because when you close it, there's not much space for the phone to breathe and to be ventilated, so it overheats very, very quickly. So it's not the best solution for the location of the wireless charging for your phone. And also, Nissan does not offer wireless Android Auto. You have to connect it to the cable, and the cable connection is all the way at the bottom here. You can see the USB-A and USB-C connections where you have to connect the cable in order to connect to Android Auto. You have two cup holders here, which you can
interrupt the voice prompt and get
sorry.
help. You can interrupt canceling voice recognition.
Thank you. I'm not sure why it turned on. I must have used a magic word of some kind for it to activate. But anyways, so you have the couple of cup holders here, which you can close. But not much storage here in the center console, which can be moved electrically. And again, this is part of the Platinum Plus package, same like automatic parking and a few other goodies, which brings the price of this car. So the price of this Ariya Evolve Plus starts at 68 grand, which is basically identical to the Audi Q4 all-wheel drive. By the time you add the Platinum Plus package, it's another 5 grand. So you're at 73 grand, which basically is equal to an Audi Q4 with the Audi MMI package, which is 5 grand. You can put more things onto the Audi. You can spec it up to well over 80 grand. Where here, the only option is the Platinum, which basically, so the top of the line, as you see, it's here, 73 grand. Keep in mind that we leased our Audi, at 59 grand. We managed to find the early 24 version base with no upgrades. That's why we paid only 59 grand, and that was before the price increase, because they now start at 68 for the all-wheel drive version, up from previous 59. So substantial difference. So here's where you see the difference in space. Definitely more space here for my legs. In terms of the headroom, not that much difference, but definitely legroom. There is substantial difference in space. So here on this count, the Nissan wins. You have the cup holders here. Right here, two cup holders that can be closed, and you have the vents here only on the center console, the seat heating for the rear passengers, and a couple of USB-A and USB-C plugs for the rear seat passengers. Let's show you the trunk. There is no trunk. Neither Audi nor Nissan offers a front trunk or frunk. You can see the rear light signature is a unibrow on this, and here you have the Platinum e4orce, Platinum Plus e4orce, and Ariya emblem here. So the top of the line. Oh, I don't have the key in my pocket. Hopefully we can open by pressing. If I had the key in my pocket, there would be a foot swipe, which is again part of the upgrade package. Here the trunk. So a surprise here that the Audi actually has a larger trunk by quite a few cubic feet. So here you have a bit of storage under just for your cables, which is great. But with the seats unfolded, the trunk space is actually smaller than the Audi's, even though the car is larger. So where the space is, because the car itself, Nissan itself, is larger than the Audi, where the space, where you gain the space in the second row for the second row passengers. So when you fold the second row flat, when it's a 40-60 split, as you can see, you actually end up with more cargo area in the Nissan with the second row seats down than the Audi. But with the second row up, the Audi trunk is actually bigger. All right, so that's it. That's it for the walk around. And let's jump in and take you for a spin and give you some more comparisons and the reason why we ended up going with the Audi instead of the Nissan a few months ago. Okay, so here we are inside the 2024 Nissan Ariya Platinum Plus, which is the top of the line Nissan Ariya, which is the same model we drove last year again. But this is 1 year later now, so we'll try and determine the differences, if any, and why we chose this, actually why we chose the Audi Q4 over this Nissan Ariya. Okay, let's close the windows, let's turn on the climate, Here, as you can see, I have the map and the consumption history, but we haven't driven anywhere yet, so there's no consumption history. To turn the climate on, you have the auto button here, and temperature for the right side, temperature for the left side, defrosters. So there's a couple of manual buttons here. So let's close the windows because it's going to be otherwise too noisy. There we go. Here on the steering wheel, you have the autopilot features, resume, cancel, verbal commands, the blue button, which is the Nissan Pro Pilot button, the distance from the car in front of you. On the left side, you have basically your entertainment, the volume, skip, and etc., etc. You can change the menus here on using the scroll button here. You can see drive computer, energy economy history, and drive computer, etc. And then you can go left and right. You have your compass, you have your settings, you have your autopilot or Nissan Pro Pilot menu, you have your entertainment screen and your navigation, basically, your tire pressure, and we just keep it on the energy economy, the consumption statistics. That's how we do it. To reset it, you just press OK. So as you can see, our last consumption was driving local roads was 17.4. We'll tell you all about our hypermile and highway test to determine what the real life range is. So let's reset it now. All items, confirm, reset, yes. So this car, because it's the top of the line, it has a head-up display. In the Audi, the base car, of course, which is our car, does not come with a head-up display. Actually, our Audi Q4 does not even come with navigation. But because it has wireless Android Auto, we're just navigating using Waze or Google Maps on the Android Auto, which is a little bit wonky. Sometimes it doesn't connect, but then you just basically restart the car, and usually the second time around it connects. So most of the time it connects correctly. Here, to connect Android Auto, you have to plug in your USB-A or USB-C cable down at the bottom of this center console, and then the Android Auto will automatically connect. Okay, so that's about it. Let's take you for a quick ride in this Nissan Ariya and tell you about the results of our hypermile and our highway test. And at the same time, we can also basically tell you some of the reasons why we decided to go this past February, late February, why we decided, after comparing this car with the Audi Q4, why we decided to go the other route. And we'll put them side by side on the picture for you so you can appreciate the difference in size. Again, minimal size difference. 1 inch in height and width, a couple of inches in length, 1 inch in wheelbase, and weight-wise, of course, because of the larger battery here, there's a minimal weight advantage for the Audi, but it's not much. It's 2.2 versus 2.27 tons, so it's only 70 kilos difference between the two cars, even though this is a much larger car. Yeah, so more horsepower here, more range, bigger battery, slightly quicker. It's not that much of a difference. It's a fraction of a second, so really the difference is not that much. The nice thing right now with the climate on, I have the seat cooling on. Again, is an extra option on the Audi. I have the standard heated steering wheel and heated seats, but I don't have seat cooling on the Audi, which comes only in the upper trims. And again, we leased our Audi for basically 59 grand, which now becomes 68 on the revised 2024s, which have quite a few improvements, which we discussed in the Audi Q4 video. So yeah, 68 versus 68 pretty much on this. And this one here is 73, which equals to the Audi Q4 with one option only, like would be the Audi MMI navigation package. And then you can keep adding at least 10 grand more of options on top of the Audi, where this is a top of the line at 73 grand. So we'll try and give you a feel. The suspension on this is much softer than on the Audi. So going over bumps, This is much calmer, but the car sways much more. So when you accelerate and when you brake and on turns, you know, it doesn't feel safe to be taking turns on this car. It doesn't feel comfortable to take them as quick as on the Audi. One of the reasons probably is the height. There's a few centimeters in height difference as well. But then again, the batteries, you know, weighs more. So there you go. Let's just go back to our consumption. So different drive modes. So you may have seen them before. The drive mode button is here. So when you press it, you have Sport, Standard, Eco, and Snow. So we've driven basically in Eco, so that we can try and squeeze as many kilometers in the electric range as we can, both in hypermile. Hypermile we do at around 90 kilometers per hour, and without climate, with the sunroof and windows open. It was, of course, we're in July, so a nice summer weather. It wasn't too hot, so we didn't suffer too much. And then on the highway, we used everything was closed, so window and the sunroof closed, with climate on. And we usually keep it at a comfortable 22, 23 degrees, depending on the outside ambient temperature. So we're gonna stop it here. We're gonna try and floor it. We are in sport mode right now to see what it feels like from the stop to go. Now, the one thing about this is even with the E-step, even with the B mode, if we switch to B mode, you have more regen, same as if you press the E-step button here, but there is no one pedal driving. There is no one pedal driving, so let's just let the car go. Of course, there's a bit of a traffic. Anyway, so we'll let them go and we'll try and floor it here. To see what it feels like. So again, no one pedal driving, which is strange because the Nissan Leaf does have it. So neither the Audi nor this Nissan Ariya has one pedal driving. And honestly, there's a bit of a sport effect. You can see the electronic sounds, which you can turn off, I guess. But it's not impressive. It's 5 seconds. It's fine, which is what we had on the big Audi e-tron. Our current Audi e-tron is not too far from that either. They're all around 5 seconds, you know, fractions of a second differentiate these cars. So there's really no difference in performance in terms of the acceleration. Top speed, really, who cares? You can't do it in Canada anyways, so we don't really care about the top speed of these cars. So we won't even mention it. Yes, why did we choose the other car? Number one, a deal. Here on the Nissan Ariya, the big difference in the United States is that they dropped the prices substantially by as much as $6,000 US, which is almost 10 grand Canadian on the top of the line models and slightly less on the base models. Here in Canada, the price has been maintained the same. The lease rates right now are still at 5%. There is a 3,000, I just did a configuration on Nissan Canada website yesterday. There is a $3,000 off a rebate program right now on top of the 5,000 Canadian government federal rebate. But it's nowhere near what the discounts are like in the United States. Also, when we were comparing Nissan and Audi, we managed to get, the Audi had a very interesting and very attractive lease program for early 2024s, which was 2.9, and we got a loyalty bonus. So we ended up leasing the car at 1.9%, which is great rate, knowing that these days the interest rates are high. So Nissan is still at 4.9%, and we're months later. So some other companies are offering 0% lease and financing. And actually, Nissan did offer, and we got excited. Our decision perhaps would have gone differently if the 0% leasing and financing that was offered in Quebec was also offered in Ontario. But no, that offer was valid in Quebec only. So when we inquired, actually they didn't even answer us. But we went to a dealer and we were told, no, here in Ontario, the 0% was only valid on Nissan Rogue gas car. It was not valid on Nissan Ariya, unfortunately. Quebec only deal. So this was one of the main reasons we decided to go for the Audi. And then again, remember, Nissan is a general brand that will be more easily compared with the Volkswagen, and Volkswagen is even cheaper. So remember that, if you were to compare with a Volkswagen ID4, which this should be really compared, then the Volkswagen option is definitely much cheaper than a Nissan Ariya. Is there a reason for it? Probably not. So I anticipate that Volkswagen will probably sell more of the ID4s than Nissan will sell Arias, unless they bring some attractive either leasing programs or cash discount programs. And so yes, since Infiniti does not offer any electric cars, which is again strange, because Nissan has been in the electric game for a long time, so Infiniti should have an equivalent model, just like Volkswagen and Audi have the same car basically sold by the two brands. Ford and Lincoln does not follow the same path. So this is basically a Nissan priced like the Audi, where it should be priced like the Volkswagen. And this was one of the main reasons. This is not a luxury brand, so it should be priced more in line with the Volkswagen as opposed to the Audi. This was another reason, but basically it came down to the numbers game. So it was much cheaper to lease per month at the much lower rate, much more attractive residual values. So the monthly payments were substantially less on the Audi than they were on this Nissan, which is too bad, because with a 0% lease, we would have
canceling voice recognition.
We would have probably leased this car instead of the Audi. At least there would have been a strong chance to do so. I don't know why the car keeps talking, because I mentioned that the name of the brand, and that's probably when it's programmed to listen to you, what you're saying, and listen to your commands. So again, you can still feel free to compare these two cars. If you need more interior space, this might be your car. Slightly better performance, slightly more range, 50 kilometers extra. So if you don't care that this is a general brand versus a luxury brand, then you should definitely test drive both of these cars and see how you feel about them. They're both great EVs, and I would encourage you to compare them directly yourself. Go to a dealer. Deals could be coming soon, perhaps. The moment when we leased our car a few months ago, there were no special deals on this Ariya, and right now there's nothing special except for the $3,000 discount. But anyways, if you have any questions about this review, our impressions. Now, by the way, before we go, we almost forgot to mention the results of our Hypermile and highway test. First of all, Hypermile, we were around 18 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers, and on the highway we were just under 22, which would give this car a 400 kilometer highway range. So the 465 rated range is really not a highway at highway speeds. And going on side roads, yes, you can probably even beat that. You can probably even get closer to 500 kilometers range when you're doing 90 kilometers per hour without climate. So that's about it. It's very similar in consumption to our Audi, but because Audi has a smaller battery, you will always be around 50 kilometers less total range because of the smaller battery. Okay, so to end this, if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to comment. And as usual, do not forget to click the subscribe button on our channel. And to be informed when the next video will be available. We have lots more electric and plug-in hybrid cars coming to our channel. Thank you for watching, and let's do one last launch on this video. There we go. Thank you for watching. See you next time.